first commenter up of the day. You know, we had a back and forth a little bit, but, you know, she put out a comment. She let me know what the situation was, so I got to give respect to her and respect to the movement. June, Nolan, definitely a consistent watcher and supporter of the movement. Definitely someone I can say does not slack on her grind. What we're going to talk about is an Alias tactic. The real passenger and their identities differentiating. Now, we spoke about this for a little bit. That's why I'm kind of glad she asked something like this. I had to give her respect. Thank you for everything that you do. All your comments, all your thoughts, June. We're going to get into something you mentioned. So what we're talking about is Lenard Kerr. Even how I brought up briefly, and that's going to be detailed for tomorrow. So check up Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to have videos dropping like hotcakes to get your evening and your night going off right. I might have a few drop in the morning. Just that's how I do it. So, you know, I keep the movement fresh. I do things in a different way than other people, and I'm okay with that. Now, what June's referring to is the fact that this individual who was the passenger allegedly said to a witness named Victor, as we called him, that he was the uncle. So she's saying, how are we able to confirm it was Lenard Kerr that was with him at Riva Motorsports, even though we read in the Miami Herald that Lenard Kerr was the individual with him when he went and collected the money? Now, I think that's a very good analysis, even a very good point to bring up. What if the person that was at Riva Motorsports was not the person that was there at the bank when he went into it? I completely agree with you. You know, I don't even have an argument. Everything we do on this channel is objective with evidence, and we're literally reading into what's there and devices that are given to us, less about situations. So I'm fully with you. How do we know? You know, all we're doing is examining what was said. And, you know, even what was said could be contradicted because we don't know where they got their information from. They could say a detective, but it could have just been somebody who was knowledgeable about the situation and made that inference. But here's where her point starts to make sense. And this is what everybody has to understand. How do we know it was actually Lenard Kerr and it couldn't have been just a name, throwing it out there, Siphon Kerr, or another cousin that they didn't know directly but said I'm the uncle? How do we know the identity was confirmed? That's great. That I agree with you because, again, we don't have video of Riva Motorsports. And the only video, from my understanding, allegedly what is had is video outside the gates around the area because they're claiming Tentacion got shot going outside the area. So my question to them is, did Riva Motorsports actually hand up video of what happened inside, especially because they closed down the following day and it's not really clear for what. Now, I haven't really told you guys, I have been making calls behind the scenes. I've even made a few calls to Riva Motorsports. I'm actually supposed to have a conversation with the general manager who I expect to shut me down. I don't expect him to open up with questions. I'm not even going to ask crazy questions just to kind of test his character. You see, everything is a test of character at this time. And that's something important I want June to understand. We don't have exacts. We don't have pure knowledge. We're just testing character at this time. So I'm just seeing who's relevant and who's real to their word. We don't have any credit to prove anybody's telling the truth or anybody's lying. All we have is what was introduced to us and the maybe factors around it. Again, lawmakers, or let me say not lawmakers, but law has been searching to question this individual. Yet there's been some type of issue where he hasn't been contacted. And I'm going to work that into Saturday to explain two other major theories that could be either having us all look stupid or be playing to get the fifth man. Yes, playing to get the fifth man. There are two other motivations and theories to why information has rolled out how it does. So make sure you guys don't miss that. It's going to be very enlightening from the different things that I've thought through as looking through evidence. Also looking through evidence I have not released on the channel yet. You haven't heard me try and make a correlation. I also read another commenter saying they looked up different things and he's not related to the daughter. That's all good and well, but that stuff is not definitive until we hear the law say that. You got to understand, I looked into a lot of things as well. Other than me finding that he's not claiming her on his profiles and social media, you got to remember the way things rolled out in the time period it happened, we still have no proof they had no relation. It doesn't matter if it was strictly father or daughter. That's why I also mentioned uncle, niece, relatives of some type, that they had contact and they realized that they were endangered. Also, there could be trickery going on before everyone's eyes in the media to bait out the mastermind. So we're going to talk about those different things and factors that could produce that type of picture that would actually give that scenario power. Another thing that I'd like to get into as far as what June Nolan had brought up, I really like the fact that if we're thinking about the different individuals involved, from Lenard Kerr, the Kerrs themselves, to Cleo, and allegedly the niece's name was also Cleo. That's something else to keep in mind. It was also Cleo. So that's important. And he turned up that trash music driving by. That's funny. It was low, and then he was like, let me turn this up. Nobody listening for you, bro. Nobody. But what we need to get together, it's not only about the different things involved with that and the could-be's around that. He knocked that water up on the sidewalk. You already know if that touched me. That was crazy. That's why you sped up. If that touched me, I don't care. But my thing about that is there's many other factors in detail to look at that. Something I want to put out there that I guess I also haven't taken my time to say that needs to be understood about this situation. We have 4 men fighting for their lives. Okay, whether they're guilty or not is irrelevant. Just think about this objectively. Everybody who has emotion, just think objective. We have 4 men fighting for their lives, trying to prove their innocence however they can. Now think logically. When have we ever seen a guilty party fight this hard, even saying they wanted to get a private investigator if they were actually guilty? We have not. I've actually looked at different cases to try to compare, especially in that area, because I try to be fair to that area of what is relevant, and I couldn't find anyone. I never found any type of criminal ask publicly for a private investigator to a situation where they're alleged to be a violent murderer. If you guys can name one, and I watch many different off-brand stories of normal citizens. We've seen people argue, and not to bring this situation back up, Scott Peterson, and they were giving him leeway because he had affiliations with the police in the first place. But we've seen him arguing from a point of freedom when he already had freedom, but we never seen someone in custody argue so hard as to even claim they want a private investigator to get involved for a crime they're being targeted for. This is huge. I think this sets a record. This definitely sets, we've never seen it. And I want you to keep that in mind as we objectively look at the situation and investigate it. We don't have any type of scenario where this is very prevalent. Now, is he doing this because he knows he's innocent? Is he doing this because he just wants a show or speculation to start beginning around his innocence? Or did he do this because his lawyer told him doing this may scare investigators to do something else a certain way? That's all a game. That's very prevalent, where you have criminals playing a game with investigators, and lawyers can egg this on depending the type of charges that could come out. If DNA samples are taken, even if that's allowed to be taken. I don't know if it's allowed. But there's many different situations that are beginning to play a part into the ideology behind whether this is even allowed. So as we look into how these situations developing, you got to keep in mind, objectivism is key. being objective is everything about freedom in a case. You know, and there could be a situation where it comes out, and I know what they said happened, and then everybody who was making accusations like, dang, like they were innocent, you know, but there's still always going to be the people to say they're guilty. And I'm not saying that they are either way, because I don't have direct evidence to say so. Neither do investigators. From what we understand, they could be holding things back, could be leaving stuff under the rug, but we're just watching their actions, the type of documents they're sending forward, and what they're declaring to the judge in order to get a leg up on the criminals. So we just have to watch and see. But June Nolan, I agree with you. It could have been someone else who identified as an uncle later because they knew Tentacion pulled up with him to the bank earlier. That would have been a mastermind plan. Literally, if that was the case, whoever did that was involved in the mastermind plan, because that's a pro move. Like, no one truly thinks that type of thing unless they're really thinking about how to get out of a situation or how to confuse a situation. Then they can't find the same person that is Lenard Kerr or alleged to be him. It's definitely a deeper plan at play. And I think it involves multiple people. I don't think it's that cut and dry. That's what I also like to see about the case, because it takes away a lot of direct pointing fingers and leaves it down to evidence. And that's the type of cases that are best to be investigated. You want evidence to speak for itself. And that's why I respect the way they're going about the case. And I like the way they're handling a lot of different things around it. There's many different understandings and perspectives that are going to build the final evidence of what we see. But from what June Nolan said, yes, that is an option. I don't have an argument against it. I rock with what you said. I like what you said. You know how I rock. All rights reserved.